Do it. Hey there, welcome in on this Friday Maize and Blue review. Dennis Fithian with you here. Michigan Today. Basketball today on Michigan Today. We're live weekdays at 1 o'clock talking about the latest in Michigan sports. And I think it was last Friday that we brought on Davis Moseley from Maize and Blue Review, recruiting writer. And here he is again, joining us 2 weeks in a row. It's great to see him. What's up, Davis?
What's going on, man? I hear like your voice going twice. I don't know.
Do you? Well, that is a little bit different. I don't know what's wrong with that. Let's see if I can. We'll ask anybody that's out there listening, see if they're getting a double echo. It could just be you. So, and the one thing is, if you're hearing it through your computer, or you're hearing it through your headset.
It's through my AirPods, but
well, you don't have to. One thing is, if you can hear me, you don't have to. I guess you do have to hear me. So try a couple different things. I use some AirPods sometimes. It can be a little bit tricky with AirPods. So you get the echo still?
I just took we're ready to
now you sound low, so what do you do there? You've got some feedback.
You got some man, how about now?
Yeah, put your put one of the earpods in. And I think that did it.
All right, are we good?
No, now you sound a little echoey. You sounded great at the beginning. What did you use last week?
I used in the same spot. This is a night.
Yeah, I don't know, Casey. It was, it sounded great when we were just talking. Did you have the feedback right when we were talking right off the bat? Well, maybe leave the screen and come back and see how that goes.
Okay, I got you.
Look at the beginning. There it is. There's a close-up of me. I can tell you that, we're getting closer and closer, as you know, to August. This is just the last full week of July. And then we will be into August. I'm watching some basketball here. Let's put Davis back up there. See what happens.
What about now?
They sound perfect.
There we go.
It's just a little reset. I don't sound like I'm echoing or anything.
No, you sound great, man. You sound great.
All right, great. Well, we appreciate everybody's patience, and we're ready to go now. That's good. And sometimes you test it, everything sounds great, and then you get going, you have that. So, no problem. So you spent this week you're from Georgia, but you made your move down to the annual Peach Jam, which is always a lot of excitement going on down there with some of the best collection of high school basketball players assembled in one spot, and you're able to watch them all. What was your experience like there?
So, I like to call it the largest collection of elite youth basketball talent in the world, and EYBL stands for Elite Youth Basketball League, and that's exactly what it is. You're talking about some of, the majority of the top 100 players in America, 15, 16s, and 17s. They're all there and they're all playing, and it's a great old time.
Well, great. I was watching, I said reading and watching, because you were posting some videos. I was doing both of that. And the one, I know that the one thing that jumped out at me, you're like, hey, Bronny James is here, and hey, there's his dad. So were you over there, I don't know, chatting with the king?
Well, so, he's obviously got, his fair share of security members. They all dressed in regular clothes, kind of like a Secret Service of type, and they don't really they don't let people get too close to him. But I actually got to say what's up to him. I dapped him up, and he said it was nice to meet you or whatever, and then he kind of ran off, and all the kids chased after him. It was kind of funny, but yeah, we got to watch his son play, and he's a good player. It was a lot of fun, and there were so many elite basketball players there. There was LeBron, of course, Giannis, Ja Morant, Russell Westbrook, Blake Griffin, and several others that showed up.
Wow, that's quite the collection. Now, tell me, we're going to talk about the players that are attached to Michigan that were down there. Not a big surprise for people that are tuning in. Also, you did a story, Maize and Blue Review, on Michigan incoming freshman Dug McDaniel. So we'll talk a little bit about the incoming point guard out of Fairfax, Virginia. But tell me about Bronny James. Is he a 23 recruit? Is he a top 100 guy? Is this somebody that Michigan would be interested in? Or is it because his last name is James is that he's getting all of the attention?
Well, I think it's a little bit of everything you just said. He's a 2023, and I would grade him as a top 100 prospect. I think he's somewhere between maybe 50 to 75. I think that's probably a pretty fair ranking. The guy, no matter what, he's going to fit wherever he goes. And he may go to a lower level school. I know he's looking at some HBCUs, and of course there's relationships with plenty of coaches right now. I think he's a good player. He fits every role, and he can play a role for every team because he's such a good teammate. Got such a high IQ, such a good passer, and great defender. And maybe he's not going to go out there and score 35 points for you or dunk on everybody like his father would, but the guy's going to play, and he's a great player. And wherever he goes, he'll be successful.
I wonder if so he's not going to play this year, but he'll play in college next year, and then he could, in theory, go pro. And we know LeBron has talked about, and at that point, I think LeBron would be like 40 years old. And the thought is that there could be a team, and LeBron could be a free agent. If that team drafted Bronny, they could get LeBron James. I just wonder about the Pistons. In 2 years, would they throw a second rounder at Bronny James? A lot of things would have to, you'd have to first of all feel like LeBron was still a valuable player that you would want to have on the team, and then you'd have to at least feel like Bronny James would be worth casting a second rounder, and then other teams could do it as well. But it's at least something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I think LeBron's got such a great physique, and he's in such good shape, even at this age. I think he's probably got another 3 or 4 years at minimum to him, and quite honestly, I could see him going further than that. He takes care of his body so well that he's got as many years as he wants. So I think LeBron James Jr. Bronny has a chance to go pretty high. I think he could be a first round guy, despite who knows what he does in college. Just because if you draft him, you're probably getting 2 to 3 years of LeBron with it.
Yeah, you don't know when guys fall off, and you mentioned how well he takes care of himself. The amount of minutes though on those legs, yeah. It could be one of these things if he accepted a reduced role in a couple of years. Yeah, I could see him, but if he's always going to want to be a superstar, and that's sometimes tough, especially when you're a lot of times over his career, perceived as the number one player in the league, or even one of the greatest, him and Jordan of all time. Would he take a role like he was, coming off the bench, maybe to play with his kid? We'll see. We could talk about that all day. Obviously, let's get to some of these players that Michigan fans will be interested in. And out of the top, I remember when we were talking last week, we've got to this young man. He is a 5-star. And his name is Isaiah Collier. Now, I put a peach icon there, but he was not in.
That's
Georgia,
right.
Right.
Well, he was down there, and on Tuesday I got him in person. He wasn't playing. He has a knee injury, and his family elected to sit him out for this weekend for precautionary reasons. No, there's no structural damage or anything. But he decided to take a back seat, and he came down to cheer on his team on Tuesday, and I managed to get him. And we spoke about Michigan and his updated recruitment, which I published an article on Maize and Blue Review. But he was down there, and great kid, just a great kid.
And he's from Marietta, so right there in the Peach State. So not so far that he has to go. Now he's coming in. He's going to make the trip up to Ann Arbor, right? So that's huge news, and I don't know if it works. I don't think it does in tandem with the football team. The football team next week, towards the end of the month, I don't know the exact date, but they're having this big football barbecue where they're
The
trying
31st.
Yeah, well, they're trying to bring in some of the best players in the country. One, they're bringing in the best quarterback.
That's right.
In Jaden Davis. And now Isaiah Collier, this is one of the best players in the country. He is a top 5 guy right now. So he is a 5-star. And in every sense of the word here, this is about as good as it gets. And
sure.
What about, I see somebody putting a future cast. I don't know if that means anything for Auburn. And they've got Alabama up there, UCLA, USC. I think you mentioned those.
That's his top 5 right there. Yeah. So those are his unofficial top 5. And I just want to talk about Isaiah as the player real quick. Speaking with a lot of national analysts down there, if he were not hurt this week, there's a consensus that he would potentially move up to be even not just the number 1 point guard, but the number 1 player in the country. There's word with GG Jackson reclassifying that there's a toss up for the first spot. DJ Wagner Jr. He's in the contention, but the word is Isaiah Collier had impressed people so much. There was definitely conversation for him being the number 1 overall prospect in the country.
Do you, like, people get excited? I mean, like, they're excited about a 5-star. Now you're talking about top 5. Now you're talking about maybe number 1 overall player. I mean, where would you put, or what would you recommend to Michigan fans? Just how excited, because there's a part about this. I'm thinking, you know what? I can't see a guy that's this highly rated. I know Michigan had 2 5-stars last year, but with the uncertainty with the name, image, and likeness, I mean, what's your recommendation for Michigan fans? How excited they should be about the possibility of landing somebody like Collier?
Well, getting his last official visit is humongous in this case. He's officially visited the 5 schools you see up there, Alabama, Cincinnati, USC, and UCLA. I think Michigan comfortably sits in the top 3. And I think they have a real chance to sway the Collier this weekend or next week. I think they have a real shot. I would be cautious with the amount of excitement. I wouldn't, go to the bank on it or anything. I wouldn't bet on it, but for granted, I wouldn't bet on USC or UCLA either. I wouldn't put my money on any of the 5 schools.
All right. Well, so they're in with a chance, and maybe the top 3. So that's exciting.
So the one thing I spoke with his father drove down as well, and they're looking to make a decision ASAP. After the visit, they're going to come back home, and I've got a call set up with them following the visit to recap it. But they're going to sit down and make a decision, and Isaiah's going to come out with a commitment very shortly after. Now, there's been talk of Kentucky getting involved. They've reached out with him as of late. I don't see that as a real threat at all. They won't receive a visit, and honestly, you can't get into the recruitment with the number 1 prospect in the country with 2 weeks to go. And I don't fear that. And I know Texas had gotten involved as well. He didn't mention Texas with me, but there was reports that they had spoken with him. But I think Michigan's got a real chance with this one, and I wouldn't advise anybody to be overly excited or pencil them in, but I really think Michigan has a shot. I think they sit comfortably in the top 3, and with a real great chance to sway them this weekend.
Last word on it. Would there be any cause to worry? Because you mentioned that he's already going to announce that you could say, hey, he's already has the team, and then he's just going up to Michigan. Sure, that's nice to have that last one, but maybe he's already got his mind made up. What's your thought about that?
He's a really intricate kid. He thinks very deeply. Speaking with him, it's clear he chooses his words very wisely. But I don't think that there was any message with that. I don't think that there's a decision made. Speaking with his dad, he agrees. He doesn't think that he's made up his mind, and from anything he hasn't told him. So they're going to sit down and brainstorm. But I think it's more that there's a decision date in mind than a school.
6'4" point guard. Yeah, we will keep an eye on Collier. That's some pretty good stuff. Now let's get to some of the players that were in the mix, and we go to the big fella. You mentioned him last week. It's an easy name to remember, Papa Kante. And I liked I liked it when you called him Big Papa. And so you wrote that, and that's good. I don't see a Michigan. Looking up here at the schools, he's got a long list of them here. What about Michigan and Papa Kante?
So Michigan is definitely in the. I mean, they probably lead in this recruitment. It's been perceived, certainly among the national analysts I spoke with, they all think that he's a Michigan guy. Juwan's making him a real priority, and I spoke with him following one of his games, and he spoke so highly of both the program and Coach Howard. He really feels like a priority with Michigan, and quite honestly, he's the only center that they're recruiting at this point. You know, they're recruiting other forwards, but no, they're not recruiting anyone nearly at the big position as they're recruiting Papa.
I saw some of the video that you posted of him. Papa looks like he likes to operate around the goal. There wasn't a lot. I didn't see him stepping out shooting any threes, and he's got some size to him. It's not like he's a skinny 6'10", even though he was listed at. Well, I guess he doesn't have him down here with a weight. I mean, he looked like he had a kind of a Big Ten body.
I think he's probably 6'9.5", maybe 225 would be my guess. He's very not full but defined. He's got great physique, and the one thing about Papa that I really like is how hard he plays. I watched 50 games over the last couple of days. I didn't see a player play harder than Papa did. He runs the floor every possession, up and down, up and down, up and down. And he's playing nearly every minute for his New York Renaissance team. And I really like him. They struggled a bit this week, and he struggled a little bit from the field. He didn't have his best shooting numbers, and I thought there was at times he played a little too much with the ball in his hands. I think right now he's definitely a defensive-minded center, and quite honestly, I think he's one of the 3 or 4 best defensive centers in the 23 class as of right now. But I really like the way he plays the game. He plays so hard, and right now he just has had nobody to teach him how to play offense yet. I think if he got to sit under Juwan and learn behind Terrace Reed and potentially even Hunter Dickinson, I think he could turn into a all Big Ten level player by the time he's on his way out.
Yeah, it's something it's nice to be reminded about. Juwan Howard working with big man in the post, the fundamentals, that's got to be an attraction to players out there. Zach Libby from the Maize and Blue Review saying he enjoyed your coverage all week long at the Peach Jam. 2 recruiting guys coming together there.
Dynamic duo. That's what we are.
I like to see it. Let's get to some other players and the possibility that they could end up in the Maize and Blue. I saw you putting a story about Devin Royal, Pinkerton, Ohio. A lot of schools listed up there. Where's Michigan at with this 6'6" wing?
Yeah, so they have him at 6'6", 205. I think that's well too small as in his weight. He had actually gotten a little bit big. I think he was probably pushing 240 pounds at one point. I think he's probably back down to 225, 220, and he's at a great weight for himself. He's improved his athleticism tremendously. I really like him as a prospect. I think 90 is way too low. I think you could cut his ranking in half, and he'd still be ranked too low. I think this is a top 25 to top 30 guy, one of the better players I saw all week. He really impacts the game in so many ways. And it's not just his scoring. Now, he's a great scorer. I think he averaged close to 20 points per game while I was there, but he had a couple games where he didn't shoot quite as well from the field. He went 2 for 11 against Papa Kante in the New York Renaissance, but he finished with 7 assists and 7 rebounds. And that's Devin Royal. He can impact the game in so many ways, and I was incredibly impressed with his passing.
Well, I got to believe that Rivals and anybody else who is going to have rankings, and they do make adjustments as they go throughout the year, that there will have been a lot of those guys sitting in the stands down there at the Peach Jam, and they'll make some adjustments, and we'll see guys moving up or moving down, and you're thinking that Royal would have that chance. I see somebody put a cast for the Spartans. Could this be a Michigan State type battle for the Ohio small forward?
Yeah, so I spoke with him this last week, of course, after one of his games, and he's dropped a top 9. I don't have the teams off the top of my head, but I know it includes the likes of Alabama, Clemson, Michigan State, Michigan, Miami, Ohio State, Penn State, Ole Miss, and there's a couple other programs there. Personally, I think he has a 5 in mind. I think it's probably Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State, and Ole Miss. That's what it feels like to me. Speaking with him, he has just started his relationship with Michigan and Juwan Howard. He was offered, I believe, the 28th of June, so not too long ago. And he's starting to build a relationship, but as of now, he says it's going real well. He's taken an official visit to Michigan State, and I probably think they're in control, and there's a chance I could even put in a future cast prediction for Michigan State. I'd like to talk with him a little more before doing so. But as of now, his plans are to play the rest of Peach Jam and then take his official visits following. And Michigan is likely to get one.
All right. So hey, you get a chance to get an official visit, then you're still in the mix. KC saying a Champong will start at the 4. That is a football commitment, but he is 6'8", 225, and he looks like he could play basketball. And so I don't know about. I don't know if anybody's asked him if he wanted.
The other thing about Royal is I was sitting with both of the Rivals national analysts, Rob Cassidy and Travis Graff, and both of them had very great things to say about Devin. We all agreed that his ranking was far too low and that he will be moving up, in the next update, which shouldn't be too long. And quite honestly, there's like I said, there's potential for him to move into the top 30, potentially, top 25 range.
All right. How about another frontline player, Zayden High? Now you have to go all the way out to Chandler, Arizona, but he was in Georgia at the Peach Jam, and I saw you watched him play in a couple games. What were your impressions of Zayden High?
Yeah, so he just now transferred out to Arizona Compass Prep. He's originally from, I believe it's Spring Smith Valley, Texas. I believe it's something along those lines. He's really blown up over the last couple of months. The first couple of EYBL sessions, he looked incredible, and he's maintained that play. I really like him. I put out a tweet that he had become one of my favorite players to watch. And every game that he had, I was sitting there courtside waiting to talk to him after. I really like him. I think he's a great prospect, and actually spoke with him regarding an official visit to Michigan that he actually has planned. I had spoken with him on Tuesday, and he had nothing planned, but then I spoke with him the next day, and he was set to officially visit Michigan the 26th through the 28th. So he'll be in Ann Arbor towards the end of this month. I believe I think it's Tuesday through Thursday, right before Isaiah Collier makes it to campus.
When you talk about it, I looked at the gym. There didn't look like there was a lot of seating in there. Do you have to be a credentialed member of the media to get in there, or can fans try to get tickets in the future or something if they wanted to go down there and watch the Peach Jam?
Yeah, so general admission is $20 for a ticket to get in, and you can get in. There's a lot of people down there, though. I sat over in the media section.
There you go.
For some of the games for Rivals, I sat over there with a lot of those guys over near the coaches and staff members for the NBA. And we all just sat over there. But there was a lot of seating for fans. It's like any old high school gym, nothing special. And they've got a track up around the top for fans to watch as well. So there's plenty of seating and plenty of access for fans. And I suggest, for anybody that's considering it, definitely make the trip.
Did they have some hospitality for the media? Some drinks and stuff like that. All right.
Yeah, they had a hospitality room for coaches, staff members, and media, which was nice.
It is nice. Yeah. Let's not look past that. Good job.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah. So Davies Dimes, I encourage people to come on in and check it out. Maize and Blue Review. All week long, you were putting up stories, the videos, pictures, and all of it. I read it all. I was entertained and also informed at the same time. What else can you ask for? Now, what we could ask for is a story about current Michigan players, and you delivered on that this week. You talked about Dug McDaniel, the 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", point guard out of Fairfax, Virginia. And in your story, somebody put a video up. I'm going to run this while we're talking about Dug McDaniel. How big do you think McDaniel is right now? What's your guess?
If you ask him, he'll tell you he's 6 foot.
Okay.
Which he's about 5'9".
All right.
He's a short guy, and that honestly, and speaking with national analysts, if he was 6'1", he would have been a top 10 player in the country, and that's credit to him. You have to give him that credit, and that his height's out of his control. I love him. I think he is a great player. I'm as high on Dug as anybody. I think that they had him way too low. I think he finished in the 90s in the Rivals 150, and I don't see that. You watch him play, and he really is incredible. I think he's going to push for serious minutes this year.
Well, I remember the first time, and it probably was right when he committed, I watched a little video of him, and I have to say it was tough not to be swayed because I think the Hawks were playing the Knicks in the first round of the playoffs, and so I saw a little Trae Young in his game. I mean, he's got some of this. I mean, he's point guard. He's not as tall as Trae Young, but I mean, he's a slender guy. But and you can see it in this. He throws it down like, okay, so he's. I think coming right up. So he's 5'9", but watch this. All right, he punched that one through. So 5'9", he can get up. I like to see that. What about my Trae Young comparison?
So I think size. I think they have Trae Young at 6 foot, which I don't think that's right. I think he's about 5'10", 5'11". Maybe 6 foot with some shoes that have a platform on them, and that's fine. I like the size comparison. Dug does things so differently on the court. A lot of the times you see smaller guys be really good shooters because they almost have to be. When you're that size, you need to be able to stretch the floor at an elite level. The thing about Dug is, and I've spoken with some people, they say he has rabies, and that's obvious. You watch any of his games, he is picking up 94 feet, and he is guarding like his life depends on it, and that's what's going to get him playing time at the next level. I love Dug McDaniel and the way he plays defense. I think he sets up his team just like that pass right there. He sees things that other people don't, and he is an elite playmaker. He's in asking any national analyst, they'll tell you he was the fastest guard in the country with the ball in his hands last year, and that's going to translate right away. He's going to be faster. He's going to be quicker. He's going to be more of a dog than anybody else, in the Big Ten, certainly as a freshman. And I think he projects to play 12 to 15 minutes per game. I think he'll have a role maybe a little bit bigger than that of Frankie Collins of last year.
Well, you almost have to be fast, but you're talking about another gear, and you can see that in some of these. I like the what's not to like? I mean, I like the handle. I would think that you just have to wonder if, at that size, and it takes point guards a little bit of time. I mean, I've seen that over the years where there is an adjustment period. But, one thing I like about him is that when he is dribbling, that head is up, and he's got a lot of no look, and he's got a lot of flair to his game as well, which, I appreciate.
Yeah, definitely. The thing about Dug and the reason, while his body may not transfer right away to Big Ten, his head will. He is such a good player, such a high IQ, such a heady player. He is a perfect teammate of sorts. He's gonna get you the ball. He's gonna take the ball away from the other team. On defense, he's an elite defender. He can guard either guard spot, despite being 5'9", 5'10". He can guard both backcourt spots. And he's gonna play great defense. He's gonna get the ball to his teammates, and he's gonna play hard. And that's what you're looking for. And as a freshman, his work ethic, from all the things I've heard from sources inside the program, they say that there's not a harder working player that they've ever been around than Dug. And that's evident. I follow him on Instagram, and every night he's posting at 2 or 3 in the morning of him in the gym. Him and both Greg Glenn, they've formed a really good relationship, and they've been working out together. But Dug McDaniel is in the gym every day until 3 a.m. in the morning, and you have to respect that.
Here's a question from CJ Wolverine. Would you put him as a scoring type point guard?
No, I would not. I think he's a playmaker. He's the kind of guy that's gonna go out there and average 5 or 6 assists a game, maybe a little more than that. I like him to score the ball. He's a good scorer, but he'll never be a great college scorer. That's just not his game. He doesn't look to do that. He looks to set his teammates up in the best ways possible, and he finds his teammates, and he finds the right teammate. If he just hit a three, he's going to go right back to that guy for another one. It's watching him play the game is very impressive, but I wouldn't classify him as a scoring guard by any means.
I'm wondering a little bit, the release on the 3-point shot looks a little bit low, but hey, if you're knocking it down and you've got the kind of range, I'd say the same thing about Trae Young when I watched him. Like, his release point looked a little slow, looked a little low. If you're thinking about a shorter guy, maybe you'd want a little higher. But, here he is, having the type of game that he has. And those are things that you can work on.
Yeah, I agree with you on his release being a little low. My thing is, he played in the WCAC, which is the best conference for high school basketball in the world. It's over there in the DC area with DeMatha, where we got Hunter Dickinson from, Gonzaga, where Terrence Williams came from, and several others. So he played over there, both football and basketball, and won Player of the Year in both sports. He averaged, I think he averaged about 17 points and several assists. I would imagine somewhere in the number of 7 to 8 assists per game, maybe more than that. I'm not 100% sure. He shot 42% from three in the WCAC, and that's always been the concern. Has been his jumper and his ability to shoot from deep. And at first, he wasn't a good shooter at all, but he worked tirelessly at it, and he has become a 42% shooter at the high school level, and I think that translates. I think he'll shoot 35% from three as a freshman, maybe.
Wolverine, CJ Wolverine, saying it reminded him of Xavier Simpson. You didn't like my Trae Young comp. Did you give a comparison that you have, or you haven't thought of one yet?
I think Dug is a super difficult comparison because, most undersized guards have to be that shooter from 35 feet. If I had to go with one, I'd say Tyler Ulis from Kentucky. I like Tyler Ulis. I know a couple others have compared him to Yogi Ferrell from Indiana, but I like Tyler Ulis. I think Tyler Ulis is a better comparison. Now, I'm not projecting him to have the success Tyler Ulis, SEC Player of the Year, but I think Dug is real good. And I actually spoke with some people that had come up to me while I was in Augusta, which was rather shocking that they would come up to me to talk about Dug McDaniel. But they had mentioned that they had watched him for years and that he was going to be a player for Michigan. They really liked what they saw, potentially starting 3 years for Michigan. And they said that he's going to be like what Xavier Simpson was, but even better.
Yeah, well, tell me, there's the one part of your story that I was reading, and I don't know if that was one of the people that you talked to down there, or it was somebody else, but he had to be probably a freshman. He has played against the likes of somebody like Cade Cunningham, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So down there in the Hoops Fest tournament that's held in northern Florida, as a freshman, Trevor Keels, and Jeremy Roach from Paul VI went down there. Their whole high school team went down there, and they matched up against Montverde Academy as well as IMG. And Dug, at 5'7" as a freshman, 130 pounds, he went up against Cade Cunningham for the entire game and held his own. And he gave both Cade Cunningham for Montverde and Jaden Springer, who ended up going to Tennessee, he was at IMG. He gave him fits all game, and he put him in a torture chamber defensively. It was great to see, and I advise anyone who wants to look up on Dug McDaniel, just look it up. It's on YouTube. He gave IMG fits that game as a 5'7", 130-pound freshman. It was incredible to watch, and that speaks to what Dug is. He's the kind of guy that is not afraid of anyone, and you have to respect that. He is a dog. Now, I don't know what his success will translate to at Michigan and in college, but the one thing you'll have to say about Dug is he won't be afraid to work. and go up against anybody. So that's something to say.
Well, do you, if anybody else has a final question, you can get it in, or if Davis, you had a final point, I will give you the floor here now. Anything else?
I'll let you know.
I've got something for you.
Okay, yeah, go.
No, he's got some dog in him. Now his name is Doug, but he spells it, very close. It's D-U-G. D-O-G. I don't know, coincidence or not.
He's a little bit strange. So his name is Nasir, but he goes by Doug. But there's two different ways he spells it. He spells it differently each time, pretty much. On his Instagram page, it's D-O-U-G, but everyone else says it's D-U-G. It's spelled D-U-G on some websites, and it seems like he never really has a gripe or complaint about it. But I think he goes by D-O-U-G. So I think, if you take out the U, you got Dug McDaniel, and I think that's accurate. He's got that dog in him, and you love to see that from him. He's not afraid of anybody.
Well, maybe like with CJ Wolverine saying that reminds me of Xavier Simpson. If you remember Xavier Simpson, when he started out at Michigan, he spelled it with an X, but later on he started spelling it with a Z. So, maybe it's just this point guard thing, change things up as you go. It's like LeBron, he started out wearing 23, he was Cleveland. He went to Miami, and, he changed it up to 6. And I think he's at 6 in LA. That's what you do. Kobe did the same thing. 24, 8.
Yeah. Hey, that's how they go. But, I really like Doug. I'm a little biased because I like him so much, but I really think he's probably a 12 to 15 minute per game guy. The reports coming from inside the program saying he's working hard and he's pushing the guys. And honestly, if Kobe Buffkin isn't ready, which signs indicate he is, but if he's not, Jet's going to see a lot of minutes at the 2, and Llewellyn's going to grab some minutes, and that's going to give Doug an opportunity to get 15 plus minutes per game. I think Doug is a 12 to 15 guy. But I think he's got a chance to go more than that.
I haven't watched any of these guys play, save some YouTube, and that's the most I've watched of Dug McDaniel, just watching him on the video there. But here's what I know, that when you are a smaller player and you are fast, that it immediately translates into fan favorite. So if he's burning up and down the court, running past people, the Chrysler Crazies are going to be going wild for Dug McDaniel. I would predict that he would be a fan favorite. And I think Yo-Yo, just the name and just the way that he plays, I'm guessing that Yo-Yo is going to be a fan favorite. What do you think there?
Yeah, I think I completely agree. I think Doug and Yo-Yo are probably going to be as popular as a player. I think Jet, just because of how good he is, that guy is so good. He's going to be a fan favorite right away. But honestly, I like all 5 members of the 2022 recruiting class. I really do. I think, and we'll start. If you don't mind, I'll just give a basic rundown on him real quick. Greg Glenn, that is a great kid. He is great in the locker room. He's a fun-loving guy, but he's got a little bit of dog in him as well. Terrace Reed, everyone loves him. From talking about him, he's such a nice kid, and he is really, really talented. Jet, of course, needs no introduction. He's the goods. That's as simple as I want to say it. As far as being ready for the next level, I think he is the most ready player coming out of this recruiting class, especially. And Yo-Yo and Doug, there's nothing to say about them other than that they are going to be the fan favorites for Michigan going forward. I really like what all 5 bring to the program, and I really look forward to seeing them live. And probably, I think the season starts in November.
So Yo-Yo is not in this photo here. This from left to right, I'm just going to guess here. That's Jet. McDaniel is pretty easy. This is Terrace Reed, and then Glenn to the right, or did I have those two mixed?
No, you got it. You got it.
Well, I do know. Let me see if I have one other thing in. So I have some gliders here. These look like some Gators, and what are the Yeezys? Is that what those are?
They are the Yeezy slides. Doug is also wearing some Yeezys, and then I'm not 100% sure what Jet is wearing, but Terrace is sitting there in some Crocs, which I gotta respect. Now
Yeah, those are comfy.
I
would run with any. The Yeezys are a little bit. I would do it. I would try them on. They're probably very comfortable. But the thing about Crocs is that I don't think they look the greatest, but man, they feel really good. And it's the same thing. I'm going to go all the way back to my playing days. You would always get a lot of harassment from like, why are you wearing socks? With your shower shoes there. And you'd say, because I'm a basketball player. And so I love that has continued to stay with ball players all the way through into 2022. So that's
for
great.
Sure. Well, I really like all four of those guys, and that, I'll put it that way. And I like Yo-Yo as well. So I really like what Michigan's got coming in this fall. I think the new additions are going to be really, really nice, including Joey Baker and Jalen Llewellyn. I think the seven of those are going to help turn this team around, and I think they're going to have a great year and a great season.
Yeah, just look at the hands right here. Like you could grab a basketball and it's like having a baseball in your hand. Yeah. You're talking about Greg Glenn there. So that's awesome. All right, great job, Davis. Encourage everyone out there to sign up with Maize and Blue Review. You get premium content right now for free all the way till kickoff, or some 40 some odd days away. So that's a long time to get a feel of what we're doing. And then, of course, you'll just want to stay around after that. Go to michigan.rivals.com and check all of that out. All right, Davis, great job. We'll talk with you again soon.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me. I just want to give a shout out to you as well as the whole Rivals team. I appreciate everybody for being so great. I want to send my condolences over to Josh. He lost his cat today or last night. He did everything he could to help out a little stray kitten. It was admirable what he was doing. And so my condolences to him, and for Trevor McHugh. He tested positive for COVID this morning. Wow. Prayers up. I want to give Trevor a shout out for making my Davy Dimes graphic, but the whole Rivals team, shout out to them. We're getting ready. We're getting ready for the fall. It's going to be a great fall for us and everybody included.
All right, this one's for Ava. See
That's
you, Davis.
Right, man.
Take care, man.